9242 East 128th?
Correct. There's 2 bodies on the floor, DOA. There's shells on the bed, blood all over.
On May 13th, 2015, tragedy struck in a quiet Michigan neighborhood. 46-year-old Martin Durham, known as Marty to his loved ones, was discovered lifeless in a pool of blood. Beside him lay his wife, 49-year-old Glenna, barely clinging to life, her murmured words fragmented and incoherent. Marty's body was cold, lifeless, while Glenna's fragile state hinted at a harrowing event yet to be fully understood. Initially, the scene suggested a burglary gone horribly wrong. However, as detectives delved deeper into the case, it took an eerie and unexpected twist. An unusual testimony and an even stranger witness emerged. A psychic's chilling insights became pivotal, but the most astonishing turn of events came from a parrot that would ultimately reveal secrets destined to haunt everyone involved. When Glenna was rushed to the hospital, surgeons performed a life-saving operation to treat a gunshot wound to her skull. Miraculously, the bullet had grazed her brain, but failed to inflict critical damage. As she began her slow recovery, detectives were left to unravel the grim mystery at the Durham residence. Investigators combed through the crime scene while neighbors recounted their growing unease over the past few days. Marty and Glenna, a couple frequently seen around the neighborhood, had seemingly vanished. One neighbor admitted hearing 2 gunshots but had assumed Marty was out hunting, a common activity for him. Days passed with no sign of the couple, prompting concerned neighbors to conduct their own welfare check. What they discovered was horrifying. Peering through a window after receiving no response at the door, they saw Marty and Glenna lying motionless in pools of blood. Authorities later confirmed that 6 shots had been fired in total. 5 of them struck Marty, killing him instantly, while a single shot to Glenna's skull left her critically wounded but alive. As detectives worked tirelessly to uncover the truth, one peculiar detail became impossible to ignore. A parrot, the couple's pet, who may have witnessed the crime. What secrets would this unlikely witness reveal? And how did a psychic's testimony come to play a critical role in solving the case? The chilling answers would shock even the most seasoned investigators.
When she arrived at the hospital, she was then treated by a neurosurgeon and appeared to have at least 1 gunshot wound to her head.
When they said that she was possibly going to die, I felt bad that we had lost Marty, and now we might lose 2 of them. It was quite horrific.
While Glenna was recovering in the hospital, detectives began meticulously analyzing the crime scene. What they discovered both surprised and alarmed them. At first glance, the scene lacked the hallmarks of a typical robbery. Not a single valuable item was missing. Wallets, personal belongings, and even cash left in plain sight remained untouched. More strikingly, there were no signs of forced entry. The front door was ajar, yet completely undamaged, and the security bars on the windows were intact. This raised a chilling possibility. The killer hadn't broken in. Instead, it seemed likely that either Marty or Glenna had willingly let the perpetrator into their home, suggesting that the couple might have known their assailant. The unsettling implications of this detail deepened the mystery. Who could have earned the trust of the Durhams, only to betray it so violently? The answer, investigators realized, might be even darker than they initially suspected.
It has to be somebody they know. Can you tell me if their door was kicked in or not? Because if that door wasn't kicked in, they know the person. Okay. They locked that door. It doesn't matter if it's the middle of the day, that door's locked.
Detectives then began exploring another unsettling possibility. The attack might have been tied to Marty and Glenna's involvement in the sale of prescription drugs. It came to light that the couple had been engaged in dealing prescription medications, raising the prospect that the crime was linked to this illicit activity. The police hypothesized that a transaction could have taken a deadly turn. Perhaps a disagreement escalated, leading to a confrontation and, ultimately, a violent shootout. This theory cast the case in a new light, painting a picture of a seemingly normal household with darker undercurrents. But with little concrete evidence at the time, the investigation was far from over, and the detectives were left to untangle the layers of deception surrounding the Durham's lives.
He could make anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 a bottle.
So I warned him a couple of times about that. Because a couple of times they came to their house to pick him up. whoever it was that he was selling to.
I know they're all from the UP. They would drive down here. And I know at one point they were beefing because one of them owed Glenna.
While Glenna was recovering in the hospital, detectives intensified their investigation into the crime scene, sending all physical evidence for forensic analysis. The findings were as shocking as they were revealing. Initially, it seemed the primary events occurred in the living room, given the presence of blood spatter, streaks, and a bullet casing. However, deeper analysis told a different story. Despite signs of violence in the living room, investigators confirmed that all the shots fired at Marty occurred in the bedroom, where his body was discovered. Forensic evidence showed no signs that his body had been dragged from one room to another. Instead, the blood in the living room belonged to Glenna, who had been shot there. The bullet casing found in that area corroborated this. The investigators concluded that the scene in the living room had likely been staged to mislead them, adding a chilling layer of premeditation to the crime. Glenna's gunshot wound to the head, though severe, made it physically impossible for her to have moved herself to the bedroom, further deepening the mystery. As Glenna's health improved, detectives prepared to question her, hoping she could provide critical insights into the events of that fateful night. Yet when the time came, Glenna claimed she remembered nothing. Her memory lapse covered the entire night of the shootings, leaving investigators frustrated. Glenna tearfully expressed her grief, saying she missed Marty terribly and wished she had died alongside him. While her statements could have been the result of trauma-induced memory loss or dissociation, detectives couldn't ignore the possibility of deception. Her words left more questions than answers. Suspicion soon mounted, especially among Marty's family. His children from a previous relationship were particularly adamant about uncovering the truth, even if it meant crossing legal boundaries. On May 15, 2015, just 2 days after the shootings, Marty's children broke into the Durham home using a credit card, convinced there was crucial evidence still inside. Their bold move uncovered something extraordinary. A manila envelope containing 3 letters, seemingly written and signed by Glenna. The letters were addressed to her children and her ex-husband. In one to her ex-husband, Glenna expressed remorse, asking him to care for their children and apologizing for her mistakes. "I'm so sorry I messed up. Please be there for our 2 beautiful children and grandkids as you always have been. Love, Glenna," one letter read. To her children, Glenna penned heartfelt apologies, writing, "I love you so much. Please forgive me. I know I've been a huge disappointment to you all, but I love you with all my heart. You are the best thing I ever did. Love, Mom." The tone of the letters suggested they were meant to be her last words. Marty's children wasted no time turning these letters over to the authorities. Their discovery shifted the investigation in a startling direction, raising the possibility that Glenna might have orchestrated the shootings in a desperate, premeditated act. Digging deeper into the Durham's lives, detectives uncovered a tumultuous and often volatile relationship. Marty and Glenna, both on their second marriages, had been together for 5 years before marrying in 2005. Each brought children from their previous relationships into their union, creating a blended family. However, friends and family described their relationship as chaotic, filled with frequent arguments and shouting matches. Stability, it seemed, was a rarity in their home. Marty's health challenges added strain to their already fragile relationship. In 1995, years before meeting Glenna, Marty had been in a devastating car accident that left him with severe injuries, including brain damage and mobility issues. These injuries forced him to give up the active lifestyle he once loved, leaving him dependent on others for even basic daily activities. As his physical health declined, Marty became more fearful, irritable, and withdrawn. His injuries also caused memory lapses, leading him to forget not just past events, but even the names of loved ones. These challenges had strained Marty's first marriage to Christina Keller, with whom he shared 3 children. Christina struggled to balance caring for Marty, raising their children, and providing for the family after the accident. Though relatives stepped in to support her, the emotional and financial toll proved too much. 2 years after the accident, Christina filed for divorce, citing Marty's increasing hostility and resentment. The split left Marty bitter and struggling with feelings of abandonment. Despite these setbacks, Marty's life eventually found some semblance of stability with Glenna. until it all unraveled in a violent and mysterious tragedy. The discovery of Glenna's letters added weight to the theory that desperation and personal struggles may have played a central role in the crime. But as detectives pieced together the fragments of this tangled web, they realized the case was far from over. Secrets buried deep in the Durham's lives were beginning to surface, and the truth would prove to be more unsettling than anyone imagined.
We did rehab for over a year and a half before he could really fully walk, talk, eat on his own, and be able to care for himself. You could say he lost a lot of his filter. His humor, his attitude became really dark. Marty was not the man that I married. I believe I fell out of love with Marty after the accident. I decided to end things and get a divorce.
After Christina took their children and moved out, Marty remained under the care of his parents, who visited him regularly to provide support. Despite the blow of the divorce and his ongoing health struggles, Marty was determined to rebuild his life. A decent insurance payout from his accident gave him a foundation to start over. He invested in real estate, purchasing a new house in Michigan, and relied on monthly disability compensation to cover his living expenses. Marty moved into his new home accompanied by one faithful companion, Bud, a 15-year-old African gray parrot from his former family life. Christina, who had originally loved the bird, decided to leave Bud with Marty to keep him company. The parrot quickly became a source of joy and moral support, filling the void in Marty's otherwise lonely life. Bud's presence gave Marty solace and a sense of companionship as he adjusted to his new reality. Despite his setbacks, Marty was determined to regain his strength, rebuild his life, and be there for his children. By 1997, he had settled into his new home and even managed to mend his relationship with Christina to some extent. Christina admired Marty's inner resilience and his clear determination to recover, though she remained cautious about the challenges he faced. That same year, an unexpected reunion would change Marty's life again. Glenna Johnson, Marty's first love, reappeared after her recent divorce. Old feelings reignited, and their casual acquaintance quickly deepened into a romantic relationship. Glenna began visiting Marty regularly, and before long, she moved in with him. Marty and Glenna enjoyed a period of peace and happiness. They spent their days fishing, taking leisurely walks, and even hunting together, with Glenna adapting to Marty's physical limitations to make these outings possible. They also shared a fondness for trips to the local casino, reminiscing about their carefree youth. To friends and acquaintances, the couple appeared content and harmonious, as if they had finally found stability and happiness after years of searching. In the summer of 2005, Marty and Glenna decided to make it official and got married. However, their idyllic life began to crack beneath the surface. By 2010, 5 years into their marriage, Marty's declining health became an increasing strain on their relationship. Glenna was appointed as Marty's legal guardian, a responsibility she openly resented. Already battling depression and relying on medication, Glenna struggled to manage Marty's finances, health, and household. She frequently expressed frustration about her role, often making offhand jokes about how hard it was to care for him, sometimes even darkly hinting that she might end him one day. Despite the emotional and physical toll, Glenna saw a financial upside to the situation. Marty's disability payments brought in $100 a month, and Glenna earned over $3,000 monthly as his caregiver. However, Glenna harbored a secret that would exacerbate their troubles, a serious gambling addiction. She frequently spent large sums at casinos and on lottery tickets, squandering money meant to sustain their household. While friends and neighbors continued to view them as a couple enjoying their later years together, the truth was far more complex. Beneath the facade of stability and happiness lay growing resentment, financial strain, and a relationship teetering on the edge of collapse. This tension would eventually lead to the events that shattered their lives forever.
They liked the casino. That was just one way for them to pass the time and kind of something that they enjoyed.
By 2015, 10 years into their tumultuous marriage, Marty and Glenna Durham's financial troubles had spiraled out of control. The couple's home was on the brink of foreclosure, a devastating reality that Marty only learned when his mother spotted the foreclosure notice in the local newspaper. When Marty confronted Glenna about it, she brushed it off with lies and empty reassurances, claiming it was a mistake she would soon fix. In truth, Glenna's gambling addiction had pushed them to the financial brink. Despite being in charge of their household finances, she had been recklessly squandering their money, failing to make mortgage payments for nearly a year. The result was dire. They owed $48,000 on their home and hadn't even managed the $700 monthly payments. Collections agencies had also attempted to repossess one of their cars. Glenna dismissed these incidents as mistakes to Marty, but in reality, she was diverting every available penny toward her gambling habit, neglecting bills, taxes, and basic financial responsibilities. By spring 2015, the foreclosure notice was publicly displayed on their front door. Their checking account held a mere $182, and their savings account just $112. Marty, oblivious to the extent of their financial woes, was focused on renovating their home, entirely unaware that they were on the verge of losing it. Meanwhile, Glenna's lies, resentment, and mounting stress reached a breaking point. On May 12, 2015, the night before their home was scheduled to be auctioned, the tension exploded. According to neighbors, Marty and Glenna had a heated argument, likely about money. That night, Glenna used her cell phone to search for information about handguns, specifically the Ruger .6 revolver. Her phone activity also revealed a cryptic text sent to her mother, reading, "Love you, Mom. Sorry." The timing of the message and her subsequent actions raised unsettling questions. When later confronted, Glenna claimed she had no memory of any of this, offering no explanation for the searches or the message. The following day, tragedy struck. Marty was found dead in their bedroom, and Glenna was discovered critically injured, yet alive, in the living room. As detectives worked to piece together the events, a strange lead emerged exactly 1 week after the shooting. Fran Fallon, the wife of Marty's cousin and a self-described psychic, contacted the police. Fran insisted she had crucial information, urging them to search under the love seat in the living room. Though skeptical, detectives decided to follow Fran's suggestion. To their astonishment, they discovered the murder weapon, a Ruger .6 revolver. The discovery was baffling. Most suspects would dispose of a weapon to evade detection, yet here it was, hidden in plain sight. Fran's knowledge of the gun's exact location seemed too precise to be coincidence, raising suspicion about her potential involvement. However, she provided an alibi, placing her with her daughter at the time of the shootings, which cleared her of suspicion. With Fran eliminated as a suspect, the focus shifted back to Glenna. Forensic analysis confirmed that the Ruger matched the gun Glenna had researched online the night before the murders. When questioned, Glenna denied ever making those searches, claiming she only used her phone to play games. Her explanation unraveled under scrutiny, yet she continued to insist she had no memory of the events. Despite the mounting evidence, her phone activity, the placement of the weapon, and the wound patterns, detectives lacked enough solid proof to press charges. Glenna's insistence that she remembered nothing left investigators frustrated, and the case remained tangled in a web of lies, denial, and chilling possibilities. The truth behind what really happened that night remained elusive, but one thing was clear. The financial strain, marital discord, and Glenna's gambling addiction had created a powder keg that ultimately exploded in tragedy.
So, what do you remember about the incident?
I don't remember any of that. I just know that I woke up looking for my husband.
You may not know what happened. It may not be in your memories anymore. But we have to look closer at this. That gun was from the safe in your house. In fact, you even looked up on your phone information on the gun that was used.
I don't know information about the gun.
We can't ignore the fact, all the stuff that we have, it just has you and Marty in the house. We didn't find any evidence of someone else being in the house. And I think something went horribly wrong that night. Maybe with a fight about finances. Maybe he was going after you about something.
I'm thinking you already got me guilty when I once even hurt him. I just go away with him because I love him so much. He's all I can. You don't understand.
When detectives confronted Glenna with the letters discovered at the crime scene, letters that matched her handwriting, her response was both puzzling and evasive. She admitted that the content sounded like something she might write, even acknowledging the sentiments expressed in the letters. However, she steadfastly denied any memory of writing them. Her inability to recall creating the letters, despite their deeply personal nature, added another layer of mystery to an already perplexing case. Was this a genuine lapse in memory caused by trauma, or another attempt to obscure the truth? The detectives couldn't ignore the unsettling implications of her response, as it further complicated their quest for answers.
And everybody else did the same thing. So I don't want you to think that I'm out to get Glenna. My job is to investigate crimes and also take care of your health. The tricky part is going to be dealing with your injuries. And going forward, because you just don't know. Maybe someday you'll have full recall and you can come in here and say, you know what, Dave, I know exactly what happened. And maybe I'm all right. But at the moment, when you pick off these things in the big picture and you put them together, your DNA on the pistol. And with bullet casings from that pistol matching the bullet casings that were found in the house. Those things together make me think that we have to look closer at this. And there's some other items of evidence that just keep pulling back to whoever was involved was inside that house. That gun was from the safe in your house. Almost no one had access to the safe from what you're telling me. So it's limited as to who could get it out of there. Unless Marty had gotten it out for a purpose.
Seriously, no.
Was he going to leave that gun laying around?
If he was going to do something.
Because everybody else tells me he was very cautious with his gun.
He was.
And from what I saw.
If he was going to clean it, he would leave it out. But not just to walk off and do something else that go outside or something.
Yeah, and all the activity looks like you guys were, everything was moving along just fine until Monday evening, and that's where you start to lose contact with the two of you as far as the outside world. So, we wonder, Monday night going into Tuesday morning, it appears to be when whatever went wrong went wrong. Your phone activity dies off. You realize text your mom with "I'm sorry," and Marty's phone activity dies off. In fact, you even looked up on your phone information on a gun that was used.
Anything I've been in there playing games on it. That's my favorite thing. I would go games.
Well, I saw that there were some games and things like that, but then early morning hours, there was a search of a pistol and the exact model that was used. And he knows the gun had to be reloaded at least once. And I also know that's not a very standard gun. And I know that I'm not sure if I could have figured out how to unload it without some directions or looking at a book. And again, I still think that there may be something here that will explain why you don't have these memories, but I'm just trying to tell you these are the facts of what we have. And we can't ignore facts. I mean, I know that in your heart right here, right now, you're dead set and you're positive that this did not happen this way, that you didn't shoot Marty. But I'm here to tell you that I don't believe in talking to the same person that I would talk to that night had I showed up at your house. That's how this all makes sense to me. Because I can't push the evidence aside. I can't make it fit what I want it to fit. I can't investigate that way. I just have to take the facts and see how they fall together. I mean, it's a puzzle piece, really. They only fit one way. So when we look at all those together, you understand how someone could look at this and say, man, maybe she just was wrong. Maybe she was not in her right mind.
Investigators determined to verify the letter's authenticity subjected Glenna's handwriting to forensic analysis. The results revealed a strong match to the letters found at the crime scene, further implicating her. Yet even with this evidence, it wasn't enough to make an arrest. The case remained in limbo, with no charges filed, and a year passed without significant progress. Then, in an unexpected twist, a shocking new lead emerged from a witness no one could have anticipated. Marty's African gray parrot, Bud. After Marty's death, Bud was rehomed with Marty's ex-wife, Christina Keller. African gray parrots are renowned for their exceptional ability to mimic voices, capturing tone, emotion, and even phrases from both men and women. Bud, known for his vocal talent, began to exhibit a strange and unsettling behavior. Shortly after settling into his new home, Bud started squawking in a way that sounded eerily like a heated argument. Christina was astonished as she listened to the bird mimic what appeared to be a fight between a man and a woman, complete with profanity and angry tones. Bud's repeated phrases suggested the argument had been intense and alarming, and Christina couldn't ignore the chilling possibility that Bud was replaying the final moments of Marty's life. The bizarre development left everyone, from detectives to the public, grappling with a question. Could Bud, an African gray parrot, hold the key to solving Marty's murder? What the bird seemed to have witnessed would soon send the case in a strange and unprecedented direction.
Get your over it now! Shut up with your shit!
Convinced that Bud, her late ex-husband's African gray parrot, held vital clues to solving Marty's murder, Christina Keller decided to record the bird's unsettling squawking. Bud's mimicry of a heated argument between a man and a woman, complete with profanity and escalating tones, was chilling. Yet Christina didn't know what to do with the footage. She doubted that a parrot could ever be considered a credible witness in a murder trial. Unsure of how to proceed, she kept the recordings but grew increasingly frustrated as months passed and the investigation appeared to stagnate. By May 2016, a year after Marty's death, Christina's frustration reached its peak. Convinced the police weren't doing enough to bring justice for Marty, she decided to share the recording of Bud. To her surprise, the video went viral, capturing international attention almost overnight. The haunting audio of Bud mimicking what sounded like the moments leading up to Marty's death became a worldwide sensation, sparking renewed interest in the case. Christina believed that the viral video and the resulting media frenzy pressured the police to push the investigation forward. 3 weeks after Bud's testimony took the internet by storm, Glenna Durham was arrested in June 2016. She faced charges of felony firearm possession and the murder of her husband, Marty. The arrest marked a turning point in a case that had seemed hopelessly cold. Glenna's trial began in July 2017 at the 27th Circuit Court in White Cloud, Michigan, not far from the Durham's home. The prosecution argued that Glenna had carefully planned a murder-suicide, intending to kill Marty and then herself, but had failed to complete the second part of her plan. They presented evidence of Glenna's gambling addiction, financial troubles, and lies about their foreclosure, painting a picture of a desperate woman who saw no way out. Throughout the trial, Glenna appeared disturbingly unaffected by the mounting evidence against her. Even when shown graphic photos of Marty's gunshot wounds, she displayed little to no reaction, leading some to speculate about her mental state. After a 10-day trial and 8 hours of jury deliberation, the verdict was delivered. Glenna Durham was found guilty of Marty's murder. The parrot, Bud, may not have been an official witness in the courtroom, but his uncanny mimicry and Christina's determination had undeniably played a crucial role in bringing the case to justice. Glenna's conviction marked the conclusion of a bizarre, tragic, and unprecedented case that captured the attention of people around the globe.
She would have had to have murdered her husband in the bedroom, shot herself in the living room, and then somehow managed to make it back into the bedroom to die next to her husband.
Glenna Durham was ultimately found guilty of murdering her husband, Marty, along with an additional firearms charge. The gravity of the murder conviction left no room for leniency in sentencing. On August 28, 2017, Glenna was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, ensuring she would spend the rest of her days behind bars. The trial's conclusion brought a sense of closure to Marty's grieving family, though the bizarre and tragic case would remain etched in the minds of all who followed it.
Marty and I were cousins. He and I were closer to each other than we were our siblings. Both had a passion for the outdoors. To get away from everybody, to, do our own thing. We were both a middle child. You're kind of too old for some things and too young for other things, so you kind of get to be a loner. That gave us something in common.
Glenna Durham will never see the outside world again, a fitting justice for her husband Marty, whose life was tragically cut short. While her sentence ensures she pays for her actions, Marty's relatives choose to focus on the cherished memories they have of him. They remember his kindness, his sense of humor, and the joy he brought to their lives. Though his loss left a void that can never be filled, his family keeps his memory alive, celebrating the best moments they shared with him. In their hearts, Marty's legacy remains untarnished by the tragedy that took him from them.
Marty and I, like any other marriage, we had a lot of ups and downs. Marty liked to fish and hunt more than he liked to work.
I'll never forget about that day. He was my oldest friend. We were more than what brothers would be. He ain't picturing life without him now. It's gonna be a lot different.
Glenna's family, meanwhile, never expected the case to take such a grim turn, especially with Glenna at the center of it. They pointed to her history of poor decision-making, often seen in how she navigated her relationship with Marty, her gambling addiction, and their escalating financial troubles. Most people analyzing the case believe Glenna didn't meticulously plan the tragedy from the start. Instead, her actions seemed impulsive, born out of desperation. Perhaps, deep down, she hoped someone would intervene and stop her, but that person never came. As the pressures of her gambling addiction, financial instability, and Marty's illness grew unbearable, Glenna resorted to the only escape she could imagine. However, once the deed was done, reality began to set in. There would be an investigation. How would she explain what had happened? How could she cover her tracks, both literally and figuratively? Overwhelmed by the enormity of her actions, Glenna turned the gun on herself in what appeared to be an attempt to stage the scene as a murder-suicide. She might have succeeded too, if not for the testimony of an unlikely witness. Bud, Marty's African gray parrot. In the end, Glenna's case is a haunting reminder that no matter how carefully someone believes they've concealed their actions, something or someone can always expose the truth. Was Glenna's crime the result of mental illness and addiction pushing her beyond her limits? Or was there a darker, more sinister side of her all along? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this tragic and perplexing case. Share your perspective in the comments below, and don't forget to like. If you'd like to support our channel, consider joining our membership plan for access to exclusive content. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and keep questioning the unknown.